Celebrated.
Alright, so who wants to make a bet right now that GSP is going to defend his welterweight or middleweight title this upcoming Saturday? Anyone? Stern bet, $20, $50, no one? Alright, well it's something that I'm always going to be willing to take unless I shake and write it down, because according to Goldwyn, a verbal contract isn't worth the paper it's written on. Meaning I'm going to defend his quote by giving examples of personal bets, sports, and favors. First one, personal bets, like I just said. Pretty much anyone can make a bet, like the one I just said, but also this last weekend, the girls' water polo team had a game against Golden West, who's a really good team, and we walked out to a team meeting when the score was about 10-8, and my friend legitimately bet me. He was like, I bet you anything, Golden West doesn't let our girls score another point. And I was like, oh, I'll take that bet. I have faith in our girls team. Like they can do pretty well. And so we come back out, game's over, and it's 14-8. They didn't score one. And he bet me like $10, and we never shook on it, anything like that. But I'm like, come on, girls. But he took it seriously. He was like, dude, you owe me $10. And like I got a text from him this morning, when am I getting my $10? And he's not getting his $10. This is also strengthened by my second point, sports. Something that like fans take for granted, or they take so seriously, are verbal contracts by athletes from high school, especially to college. Me, a Notre Dame fan, every year Notre Dame gets ridiculous, always top 20 athletes of the high school sports realm, saying that they're gonna get these players, and they'll get maybe one or two of them, and then they'll show up at Notre Dame for a year and then leave. Like last year, this kid Gunnar Kiel, good quarterback. Another kid, Devontae Neal. They both left this year. So verbal contracts, you can't really, even though they signed up. No, that's different. Verbal contracts, they still ended up leaving. And then, which brings me to my third point. If a contract is not written down, at this point, it's either a favor, or you can't even call it a promise. I'd call it a favor, like personal favors. Unless you truly, no, just keep in mind, when people say, I promise something to you, it's mostly a favor of some sorts. You can't really expect someone, and you can't be angry at someone if they don't do something for you, if it's not written down, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you, promises are usually pretty effective.
Yeah, they are.
Thank you, promises in my side.
Including that better in my mind.
Everything you said is in my
You break that, you did.
No, you haven't. You guys said my walked out.
Seriously?
Oh, okay, the first time that I was in your car.
When I was taking the stock, the whole time was like,
It gets so I actually like going to my and go away like that and you just pick it up.
yeah, that's what we were doing. Oh my god. I was there just
Good, because now you're chilling for that.
yeah, right now I'm just doing
What were your other ones?
Go take a picture with it.
No, let me explain. No, it's too complicated. That's what it is.
I was
about to do the week one, we just want to
as long as I have two, like I could maybe choose. Like,
yeah, the first one that I was here, walking to the like some to the garage.
I got lost. Those are like sausages.
All right, Matthew, Let's talk about some pretty solid things first. I thought that you were very clear on your thesis statement. I kind of liked the challenge that you had at the beginning as an attention device. That worked well. There's a pretty good preview of the speech, so organizationally things are going pretty well. I think your voice projects well. You're very naturalistic when you're talking to the audience in the first part of the speech. I think that your pacing up until the last section was pretty smooth. When you get stuck, though, it's pretty obvious that you were a little bit stuck because it's just like it dries up and you don't have any place to go, and that's a little bit distracting. I will say, kind of as a point, I'm not sure, I wasn't sure, now I noticed it, but when I was watching you, I wasn't sure whether you had dry mouth or you had gum. So you do want to make sure that you dump the gum when you're giving the speech because it is a little bit distracting. I hear the kind of smacking sort of thing that's going on. So you want to watch out for that sort of thing. Your eye contact, most of the time you're looking at the audience, but just like with your voice, whenever you get stuck, that's when your eye contact just drops out. It's like you're talking to us, and oh geez, what am I talking about now? And then you just kind of look away. And it's so obvious there that you were stuck, it kind of underlines it for everybody. I thought you were fine the first 2 minutes of the speech, and then the last minute, that's where you kind of got into, not quite panic mode, but you weren't quite sure where you were heading there, and the very end of the speech, you guys hang on. The very end of the speech, it just feels like you bailed out at the end. You didn't remember to kind of summarize what you were talking about or what the point was. It was just like, anyway, that's it. All right.